Well, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Another blessed day we are blessed to see, and we're grateful for the same. Well, my name is Portia Wheatley. I am the founder and the president of a nonprofit organization, acknowledged as Trophy of Life Incorporated, where we have the great privilege and the great pleasure to bring to you hope, encouragement, and inspiration. Let's say hello to our co-host.
Hello, everyone, and happy Monday. I hope everyone had a great weekend, and I am so happy to be here.
We will introduce our guest momentarily. So just hang in there, and you are in for a great treat. Before we do release the platform to our guests on today, we would love if you would go to our YouTube channel and subscribe to our channel. You will find some great information on this particular platform, acknowledged as Project 365. And we are so happy that individuals have already gone to our channel and subscribed, but we need a few meaning like 1,000 or something like that, a few more hundred, but we're really grateful to those that have already subscribed, and we really are appreciative of what you've already done as far as commenting, sharing, all of that. And we're grateful. We're grateful. Well, today we had the great opportunity and the privilege to hear from this woman, young lady. Matter of fact, Carmen, how old are you? I know you're young. You're young. I know you are.
I
Yes.
am I'm 40. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
See,
I am 40. I will actually be 41 next month.
a whopping 40. And that's nice. You look good, girl. You don't look like you're 40. You look good. You look good.
Thank you.
I
Thank
tell
you.
you what, I found that people that have an experience are more prone to gather individuals who are in need of hope, inspiration, and encouragement. I find that there are many that have head knowledge, and that's helpful. That helps a whole lot. But when you have that experience, it comes from a whole another level of knowledge and a whole nother level of helping and encouraging and that type of inspiration. But on today, I just want to read this for those who did not read it while on Facebook, because these are the sentiments of this woman here. Carmen is a woman with two small children who, in spite of suddenly losing her husband and other valuable possessions, she still had so much strength, inner power, resilience, endurance. I don't know. Well, I have an idea how she does it, but she's going to share with us how she does it, and she does it alone. To a certain degree, it's alone. But also listen to much of what has transpired in her life and how she does it, what she does, and who she holds on to get the job done. Especially being a mom of two small children, she has a lot to share, but she's going to share out of her strength on today. Yes, she's a widow, but the power that comes out of her mouth and the words that comes out of her mouth to encourage, to give hope and inspiration is great for not just widows, not just widowers, but mankind. So again, I just want to take this opportunity to welcome you, Carmen, to this platform. And I ask
Thank
that you
you.
just go do it, do what you do, encourage.
All right. So I just want to thank you again for having me on this platform and allow me to share my story. I'm going to tell a bit of my story, a bit of my journey. So my name is Carmen Chloe. There's many titles that people have given me. I'm a daughter of the Most High God. I'm a mother of two brilliant little girls. I'm a two-time self-published author. I'm a former elementary school teacher, but forever an educator. I'm a certified life coach. I have the degrees, as Ms. Portia talked about, the book knowledge. I have the degrees. I have a Bachelor of Science in Communication. I have a Master of Arts in Teaching. However, the most impactful and devastating title, if you will, that I've been given to date is that of widow. Yes, you heard me correctly. I am a widow. I'm a young widow. A young widow is considered, under the age of 60. I became widowed at the age of 38. And I'm also a young widow with two small children. So a bit about my story. On December 16, 2018, my life and the life of my daughters were forever changed by the totally unexpected death of my late husband and their father. I literally took my husband to the hospital on a Saturday morning, and less than 24 hours later, he was dead. And his death was totally unexpected. It was something that I had taken him to the hospital for before. So we were not expecting for him to die. It was just really unusual and unexpected. We were married for 6.5 years. We were together for 10 years total. He was the first man to truly make me feel like a grown woman. We met in Atlanta, Georgia, a couple of years after I had moved to Atlanta, Georgia. And I experienced two of the most sacred events of life that any woman could experience with a man because of him, marriage and motherhood. So when he suddenly passed away, it was devastating, and it affected me in ways that I'm still attempting to comprehend and give language to even today. So prior to him passing away, I was no longer able to teach elementary school, and I had essentially lost my career as a teacher due to a technicality with my master's degree and my certification credentials. And this greatly affected me because I had attached my identity to my career as an educator. A lot of times as women, we attach our identity to outside things, careers, relationships, our titles, and in the church and at work, as a mother. So as a result of me no longer having my career, I threw myself into marriage and motherhood. We were newlyweds at the time that this occurred. Literally, we had only been married for 2 months when I lost my job. Our new baby was 10 months old at the time. We had just closed on our first house 8 months prior. So losing my career that I had worked so hard for, I had went and got a master's degree for, I accumulated all this student loan debt for, it was very shocking and it was unpleasant, to say the least. But thankfully at the time, my husband was able to maintain us for a few years without me having to rush to find another job. So I stayed at home with our new baby, who was our only daughter at the time, for a year. Then we found out that we were pregnant with our second daughter right after I got another job in as a pre-K teacher. But the job as a pre-K teacher, I was earning $30,000 less because you didn't have to be certified for it. So it was $30,000 less. Went and worked that job, and it was almost like the cycle was repeating itself. While I was on maternity leave, my position was abolished. It was eliminated because they wanted to restructure the department. So it essentially made me unemployed again for the second time. And during that time, my husband's income drastically decreased as well. So as a result of all of this, our family dynamic changed. And I found myself lost in marriage and motherhood, and I didn't know who I was outside of the titles that I had held on so tightly to. So this was due to me attaching my identity to the career that I lost, to my title as a wife, and my role as a mother. But when I got honest with myself about and admitted out loud that I had lost my identity, I decided to do something about it. So with me being a creative, me being an educator, and also knowing that if I was experiencing the things that I was experiencing with identity, I knew other women were experiencing it too. And that's the thing about what we go through. It's never just about us. It's about other women as well. So me going through all of that, I created this thing called the 5-Day Clarity Challenge. This was way back when. So my intention in creating it was to help myself and other women go from chaos to clarity. So I created the 5-Day Clarity Challenge. I literally created this 3 months before my husband passed away. I had also started writing my second book in October of 2018. He passed away in December 2018. Holy Spirit kept telling me, you're not finished living out the chapters of this book yet. You need to put it to the side. So I'm like, okay, let me put the book to the side. I started writing in October, and then lo and behold, my husband passes away in December 2018. So I'm like, wow, God, is that what my spirit was waiting for? Like, I was waiting to experience like sudden widowhood before I finished the book. So that was just a total like perspective shift. And even with that, like I started trying to write the book again after he had passed away, but I went through so many different transitions. I went through different things with different people who were in my life during that time, who are not in my life. And to be honest with you, I had a lot of anger and a lot of bitterness that I had to work through before I finished writing the book. And if I would have written the book then, I would have been bleeding on the very people that I was called to help, to heal, and to deliver. So I put the book on hold again. So shortly after that, I was like, okay, I have to heal. I have to get over this bitterness, but I still was not finished living out chapters of the book. I know you guys are like, wow, your husband died. Like, what else could happen? I went through major transitions after he died. Literally, he died December 16, 2018. December 17th, 2018, I had to go and take my daughter to the doctor. I still took her to the doctor, even though he had passed away the day before, because I needed to get some blood work done for her. I got back home to the apartment and there was an eviction notice on the door. This is the day after my husband died. So at this point, it's like, okay, I'm like, my book, my life is like better than fiction. Like, this is a Lifetime movie that I'm living out. So I had an eviction notice on my door. Within 3 weeks after the eviction notice, we were temporarily living with family. Within a week after us moving in with the family member, the car that he left behind, it got repossessed. I had to give it back. So I had to figure out how I was going to get a car. Mind you, I was not working at the time. I had to figure out how I was going to get a car, which I did get a car by the grace of God. And after that, we were living with our family. They were not rushing us to go anywhere, but something happened in relation to the living arrangement and some people that were attached to the home. And it was just wisdom for me and my children to leave. Now, my brother had been calling me and checking in and saying, hey, when are you coming back to Florida? Which is not something that I wanted to do. But during the journey, I learned that I wasn't in control. Like, God was ordering my steps, even though it seemed crazy, even though it was painful, even though it was devastating. Like, God was literally ordering my steps. And he needed me to move from my family's house. So something happened, and me and my daughters, we lived in a hotel for 2 weeks until my brother and my cousin could come and get us, because of course they didn't want me on the road with 2 small children, and I had stuff I needed them to help me move. So my brother, he literally 2 weeks into us staying in the hotel, him and my cousin, they came and they got us and they moved us to Florida. At the time, my grandmother's house was vacant. So we lived there momentarily. We lived there for a while. We could have stayed there forever, but I wanted to do something different. So we stayed at my grandmother's house for a while. And when I got to my grandmother's house, that's when I actually had a chance to grieve, because grieving honestly was the last thing on my mind, because we had went through so many transitions. I was literally in survival mode for the first 3 months after my husband passed away. So I got a chance to sit in that grief. When we go through devastating things, at times we try to busy ourselves and we try to run away, but there comes a point in time where you have to sit in that grief. And if you don't sit in it, then eventually it's going to come out years later, or, so I was forced to sit in that grief. And I was like, God, what is going on with my life? Like, I'm back in my childhood home. My children are in the room that I used to live in when I was a little girl. Like, what is going on with my life, God? So I started doing YouTube videos, because prior to me, everything happening with my husband, I used to do videos, Facebook Live videos on branding and marketing and all of that. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do videos, but I don't want to talk about branding and marketing, because I'm not at that place. Like, I need to get this stuff out of me. I need to get this stuff out of me, because not only was I a widow, I was a young widow. And I didn't feel like it was a space for young widows. I didn't see the resources that I needed at the time. As a matter of fact, I was sitting in a church service at my old church in Atlanta, and my apostle, he was doing a teaching on dating and relationships the biblical way. And he was gearing it towards singles and towards married people. And this was like a little bit after my husband passed away. And I'm sitting in a sanctuary and I'm like, this is a great teaching, but I can't connect to it. It doesn't relate to me at all. I'm not single. Well, by the world's definition, I'm single because I'm widowed, but I don't connect to the singles. Like, I've been married for 6.5 years, and I woke up one morning and I wasn't married anymore. I still feel like I'm married. So I related more to the marriage side of what he was saying, but the reality was I was no longer married. I was widowed. So I began to vent on Facebook, the church is always talking about the singles and the married, but nobody's talking about the widows. And I would vent and vent and vent. And some of you probably know through your journey and through wisdom that when something really like bothers you and it irritates you, that could be God agitating you to do something about it, to be the voice, to fill the void that you don't see. So that's what I did. I started doing videos on YouTube. I started documenting the journey. The videos on YouTube in the beginning, they're real, they're rough, they're raw. Sometimes in the middle of the video, I break down crying. Some of the videos may be bitter and angry, but it was my truth and I was getting it out. And I thought it was a way of healing for me and being therapeutic for me. But what it did was it started attracting other widows, other young widows that were going through the same thing. They started finding me on YouTube. And at that point, I was like, God, there's purpose behind this. Like, I didn't go through all of this for no reason. These women are finding me on YouTube, like all across the world, and saying, oh my God, like I lost my husband 28 days ago, or I lost my husband 3 weeks ago, and everything you're saying. And I'm like, okay, God, like, okay, there's a reason why I'm going through this. So let me continue following you and walking it out. So through that, I started my community, my single married widow community. It started as the YouTube videos and then the Facebook group and my email list. And I just recently changed the name of it because I felt God leading me to change the name. So the name of it now is Redefining Widowhood, because I believe that God wants me, through my voice and through my advocacy and through my education, educating other people. I believe that he wants me to redefine the face and the perspective of widowhood, especially within the church, because I strongly believe that I've been called to bring awareness to the plight of the widow, especially as it relates to the church, because the Bible speaks so heavily about widows. God has such, and I don't want to get emotional, God has such a heart for us, but you wouldn't be able to tell by the way that the church does not talk about us. And I know a lot of people probably feel like, okay, 2 years has passed. She's still talking about widows in the church, but this is my cross to bear. Everybody's not called to the widow ministry. Everybody's not called to the grief and bereavement ministry, but I know that I am. And I know that through me being a voice and through me speaking out and talking about it, I'm going to be encouraging other people. I've had many talks with God, like, I don't want to do this anymore, God. I don't want to write this book. I don't want to tell my story. And God literally told me, it was like in the middle of the pandemic last year, when I was debating if I was even going to finish the book or not. God told me, he said, you don't have a right not to tell your story. You don't have a right not to tell your story. There are so many women, so many young widows that are going through what you're going through. They don't have the courage to open up their mouth and speak. They're concerned about people not wanting to hear their story again. And you're one of the ones who will continue to tell your story, and you don't care how people feel about it, because if they don't want to hear it, they can tune out. So I understand that, like, this is a call that God has placed on my life. And yes, when I get into my flesh and it's like, God, I don't feel like doing this. I don't feel like nobody's listening. Like, I don't know if they're reading the emails. I don't know if they're watching the videos, but I know that it's so much deeper than me and my feelings and what I want to do. And I also know that, you know, before I was called to widows, I was called to women who were in a transitional space of like, okay, I don't really know who I am outside of being this man's wife and these kids' mother. But I know I have a bigger purpose that's not attached to that can only be found in my identity in Christ. So that's my whole mission, to do what God tells me to do when I don't feel like doing it, to be a beacon of light to that one person that may tune into my video, that may feel like giving up, that may feel like, okay, I don't even know what's going on. So through all of that, I went through that journey. And then last year, like maybe a month after the pandemic hit really hard, because I hear the voice of God very clearly. And a lot of times I'll hear him when I'm like sleeping, but about to wake up. And he kept saying, you should be writing, you should be writing, you should be writing. So I'm like, okay, it's time for me to finish the book. And literally I felt this pressure. It was like a pressure, but it was also a grace from God to finish the book. Literally deleted all the chapters of my book except for one. And I finished the book, like with just one chapter, me basically starting over with one chapter. I finished the book in 31 days. It was like God released a supernatural grace upon me to complete this book. and I got it done. And I birthed out, I birthed out the book last year in August. I didn't promote it heavily, but I got it in front of the people that it's for. Yes, first and foremost, it is a book for widows, young widows, but it's also a story of encouragement for, like I said, for wives and for mothers who may find themselves in a transitional season of, God, I don't know who I am, what I'm supposed to be doing, but I know you have something bigger for me to do beyond the titles that I've given myself, beyond the titles that society has placed upon me. So that's how I birthed out. I birthed out the book, and I'm also going to be working on launching a group coaching program as well. So in this season of my life, I think I did a video, it might've been last year sometime, and I was talking about surrendering to God. And you literally, on this walk with Christ, you have to surrender to God each and every day. It's not just like, oh, I gave you my surrender, I gave you my yes a year ago. Not, it's a daily, moment by moment surrender and walk. So that is basically my story in a nutshell.
That is wonderful. Let's see the book. What is the name of the book, as well as you have it there? Good.
Yes, it's called From Chaos to Clarity: How His Death Birthed Her Purpose.
That is good. And it's not, the audience is just, let me put this way, just to let you know, it is not just about widows. It's about strength, your inner power, the tenacity to keep going. A lot for women. So if you really want to support Carmen and the two kids, what are the young ladies, or shall I say the princess's name?
I actually don't like to give their name on social media, but we have social media.
Don't do it. That's a good thing.
I was going to say, you guys can call them Ruby and Diamond. Those are their social media names.
Okay. Good. Ruby and Diamond. If you want to be a blessing to Carmen, to Ruby and Diamond, purchase her book. Purchase her book. That will help her to bring income into her home. A widow, after you lose the money, the income, especially the main income, we need more than prayer. Okay, God's going to do it, but we need more than prayer. And if you don't want to do it for her, I ask that you do it for the children. Do it for the children. All right, but thank you so much, Carmen. It was a lot wrapped up in that. And as I always say, many of the ladies that may watch it today or tonight, tomorrow, whenever, they may not be a widow, but they know someone that is a widow. And even if that person is not a widow, they know a woman that could use some strength and need to know, what do they do from chaos to clarity? Definitely. Yes. Kira, what do you have to say, sweetie?
You already wrapped that up pretty well, but I want to say it's a pleasure meeting you. Your story is so encouraging and empowering, and even though you're already confident in your purpose that God has placed for you, I just want you to know that you really are helping people. Like, I'm not a widow, but you have really encouraged me today. And for our viewers listening, even if you don't know a widow, listen to this video again. Listen to her story, because everybody has been there where you don't know, okay, God, what's going on in my life, and how is this going toward the purpose that you've designed for me? Because this is not how I plan things to go at all. Just like you said, everyone has a moment of chaos and they need to get to clarity. Please listen to her story again. It is so encouraging. And I just want to say I appreciate you for your boldness to keep telling your story, even if you feel like nobody wants to hear it. People need to hear it. And don't let anybody in our society tell you, oh, you need to be over this by now. That's one thing I really cannot stand, is when someone else who has not been in your shoes tells you how long you need to grieve or get over something. Everybody's journey is different. And your journey, whether it's, okay, you need to be over by now, or if it's 15 years or never, it doesn't matter. It makes you who you are, and it all goes towards your purpose. So I just really, really appreciate it today. And guys, please get her book, support her, get her book. I want to get the book. I want to read it, because I'm telling you, even if you are not a widow, you have been in that place where you're like, what is happening in my life? And if you are a widow, you need to get this book and read it, and join her groups or the resources that she has. Like, tap in, because you're not alone, and you don't have to stay in that place of, being secluded. So I just want to thank you so
Amen.
much for coming.
Thank
That is
you.
so wonderful. That is wonderful. So, Carmen, can you give us your email address of where we are, put some
Yeah.
information into the chat room?
Yes, you guys can actually, you can visit my website, which is carmenchloeglobal.com, where you can purchase the book, and then you can also look around and see what else I have to offer. But you can definitely go to carmenchloeglobal.com, and then you can find me on Instagram and YouTube. The name is Redefining Widowhood on both platforms. So that's where you can find me. That's where you can pick up the book and get connected to the other resources that I have available.
Great, great. Well, as you know, after we finish this segment, we will upload this video to our YouTube channel. So either go to my Facebook page, to Kira's Facebook page, or the YouTube channel, and share it, like it, make comments, and all of that. So we can get this message of hope, encouragement, and inspiration around the world. That a deal? Sounds good to me. Well, ladies, I shall take this moment to say thank you again, Carmen. I really appreciate you coming and accepting the invitation. By the way, Carmen is a member of VOW Synergy Network, and the VOW, VOW stands for Voices of Widows and Widowers, and we are a part of the Synergy Network, and we work as a team. And matter of fact, Carmen is from Florida. I asked her a few minutes ago, what is the temperature there? She had the audacity to say 80 degrees. I'm like, what? So anyway, but we're glad you're here, and I'm so glad that you're a part of the Val Synergy Network, and we're gonna make that grow even more. We have widows and widowers from across the country, and I'm just so blessed that God allowed us to begin that, and we are just going to continue with it and make sure everyone gets chaos to clarity. That's it. Chaos
Yes,
to
from
clarity.
yes,
Again, we're
absolutely.
grateful. We're grateful for it, and we're grateful for the services you render. To Kira, I love you, and we will see you on tomorrow. God bless.
Thank you.
Mhm.